What's happening, everyone? It's Ben here with Millenium Drums, and I'm here today to show you how to get a sweet sounding snare drum. First of all, it's really important to consider what type of snare drum you have and what kind of sound you'd like to get from it. I've done another video where I compare lots of different snare drums, their properties and how that might make them sound. I suggest checking that out before you carry on. Before we look at changing the head on this snare drum, I'm going to show you very quickly how we can take it apart. Therefore, if you need to change your top head, your bottom head, or replace the snare wire, you have a good starting point. Finally, I'm going to undo the tension bolts at the bottom of the drum. This is the resonant head. I then take the head off and I will be left with just the shell. First up, we're going to fit the resonant head to the bottom side of our snare drum. It's really important to make sure that this is seated correctly, as it may affect how our snare wires sit, and therefore it could change the overall tuning of the drum. Now that the head is seated, I'm going to add my hoop to the bottom of the snare drum. I'm going to tighten up all the tension bolts with my fingers so they are finger tight and making sure that that tension is spread equally around the drum. To finish off for now, on the resonance side, I need to add my snare wire. First step is I'm going to tighten it up by the butt plate so that it's nice and secure and can't go anywhere. And then to finish, I'm going to put it into the throw off so that later on I can come back and make some finer adjustments. Now it's time to take a look at the batter side of this brass snare drum. The drum head I've chosen is the Millenium Drums Eminence drum head. This head is 2-ply and each of those plies is 7.4mm thick. I know this is going to give me a really rich and warm sounding drum. Now that the snare drum head is seated onto the shell, I'm going to add the hoop and tighten all of the tension bolts so they are finger tight. It's important to tighten them diagonally so that the tension comes down onto the snare drum head evenly. We're going to start at the top on the batter head in the 1 o'clock position. I'm going to use a drum key to turn each lug diagonally 4 times. The next thing to do is to test the tension and make sure our drum is in tune with itself. I'm going to take a drumstick and hit near each tension bolt a few millimeters away from the hoop. This will create a pitch, and those pitches should all be the same. This tension bolt here is slightly different in pitch to the others. I'm now going to take that up a 1/4 of a turn, so hopefully the pitch should be pretty similar. As you can now hear, the pitch is the same all the way round. It's now time to take a look at the bottom of our snare drum. I'm going to flip this over so we can have a look at the tuning in greater detail. It's now time to make the snare drum really pop. Most of the hard work is done on the resonance side, as that is where the snare wires sit. A cool tech tip for you, I'm going to place my drumstick underneath my snare wires so that the drum head can resonate freely without any interference from the snare wires. Just like we did with the top head, we must do the same to the bottom head. I'm going to tune diagonally and I'm going to turn each tension bolt 4 times so this snare drum starts to sound a lot tighter and a lot crispier. It's now time to remove the drumstick and see how this snare drum sounds. Be careful not to pull it too tight so you don't damage the snare wires. Those and the head are very delicate. Let's have a listen to how this sounds. I need to put my snare wires on, as you can hear, and now I'm going to hit the drum in the middle to see how it sounds. As you can hear, the snare drum sounds great. However, in this instance, I'd like to take it that little bit higher. I'm now going to tune diagonally again, 2 turns at a time, to see if we can make this sound a little bit higher and give it a little bit more ring. Now that we've done that, it's time to hear how this puppy sings. Let's give it a listen. For me, that sounds awesome. I would use that in a gig or perhaps in my practice studio. Of course, you can experiment at home with different tensions, and part of the fun and the best way to learn sometimes is by experimenting. That's it from me today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to drop me a comment below and let me know how you've got on with your snare drum. If there are any questions left unanswered, let me know below and I'll get back to you. Make sure you subscribe to the Millenium Drums channel, hit that bell, like this video, and you will get lots of more exciting content in the future. See you later.